Welcome to the first episode of Big Ideas 2021. For those that are not familiar, ARK Investment just released their 2021 Big Ideas presentations, and we're going to dig in a bit deeper. So every year, ARK Investment releases their big ideas for the year. Here they talk about certain markets or certain sectors that they believe are going to be super disruptive or innovative this year and in the upcoming year. This presentation for 2021, they gave 15 sectors or 15 big ideas of what markets are going to be affected in this year and in the upcoming years to come. And this presentation is over 106 pages long, and I do believe it provides a lot of great information, but who really has the time to do all of them? I do. So on today's episode, like I mentioned, it's going to be episode 1, and I'm hoping to make this a 15 episode series. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at each individual market, and we're just going to do a quick rundown of their presentation. I'm going to give my overall thoughts, and then we're also going to take a look at some companies that can be mixed in or can be affected with this type of technology. So let's get started. Also, if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit the thumbs up, and check the link down below for Webull. If you sign up, deposit $100, we both get a free stock, and that's probably the biggest idea of 2021. So first, they mentioned deep learning. This is the first topic we're going to take a look at, and deep learning could be the most important software breakthrough of our time. So until recently, humans programmed all the software. So deep learning, a quick way to explain it, deep learning is a form of artificial intelligence, and it uses data to write software by automating the creation of software. Deep learning could turbocharge every industry. We're already seeing some of this deep learning being used in a few of the markets we're in, and we're going to talk about them later on. But we can already start to think of some companies that already benefit here. For example, the GPUs are an important aspect for deep learning. So if deep learning are going to continue to do good, GPUs, we know NVIDIA and AMD are some big market players there. So ARK Investment says that deep learning would add about $30 trillion to the global equity market during the next 15 to 20 years. So like I mentioned, even though this is big ideas for 2021, these are still markets that will grow in the future. So deep learning, they say, is software 2.0. Like we talked already, software 1.0 was pretty much code written by human. Software 2.0 is code written by data. And they believe that the most important software will be created by deep learning. This is stuff that's going to enable self-driving cars, accelerate drug discovery, and more. In 2020, we're already using deep learning. So in 2020, deep learning has powered almost all large-scale internet services, including search, social media, and video recommendation. If you go to Netflix, right, you know how you have your top picks for you. That's a form of deep learning. That's Netflix software understanding what you like and understanding what to promote for you. Very similar to like maybe in YouTube, same thing with videos, the songs you listen to. So deep learning has already infiltrated your life, even if you don't know. They do mention that this chart is a little bit, it's not to scale. In 2015 was one of the biggest leap for deep learning. So it has been here for about 5-6 years now. So next, deep learning is creating the next generation of computing platforms. And here they talk about 3 different markets. The first market is going to be conversational computers. And I do believe when conversational computers first came into the market, your Alexa, your smart Google, and all your other smart products, they have been pretty, I want to say basic. They just do simple tasks. But obviously, as this deep learning technology continues to evolve, the amount of tasks that they're going to do are going to continue to grow. And as they continue to grow that market, more people are going to purchase more conversational computers, are going to have more smart home technologies. Right now, we can already think of some big players here. We have Google, we have Apple, and we have other smart technology players. The only ones I can really think about right now are Google and Apple. Maybe you guys can share some in the links below. Maybe we can do further analysis on them later on. Next, deep learning is needed very big for self-driving cars. A human is not making the code of what to do when X or Y happens while driving a car. That has to be a deep learning process of all the data that is collected from multiple multiple drives. So self-driving car is a very big deal. Right now we have Tesla, we have Waymo. They used to be part of Google. I'm not sure if they're still owned by Google. The equipment here is also important to understand, right? For self-driving cars, LiDAR sensors, cameras, fast computing chips. Again, these fast computing chips, we're going back to NVIDIA, we're going back to AMD. ARM, other big players in this chip game I believe are going to continue to grow. And like we talked about, the consumer apps, TikTok, which uses deep learning for video recommendation, has outgrown Snapchat and Pinterest combined in the past few years. All right, so next we're going to take a look at the type of power, that computation power that deep learning requires. And one would think, hey, as technology progresses, as we get better, as our chips get better, the overall computation power might increase, but the cost is gonna decrease. And yes, that is true. Right now, while we advance in hardware and software, the AI training, artificial intelligence training cost is being decreased by 37% per year. So that's a great thing, right? That means our technology is getting better, our technology is getting cheaper, our technology is getting faster. But the size of data that we need to train is growing much faster. It's actually growing at 10 times per year. So if AI training cost is decreasing by 37%, the overall amount of data we need is increasing by 1,000%. So the overall cost is going to be increasing dramatically. This means that these companies that are going to be doing deep learning are going to need to buy way more chips to be able to control that amount of data that they need to process. So now we need to think of what are some of the major components for deep learning. Some softwares out there are going to be like MATLAB. We also have Python. I don't think MATLAB or Python are public. Maybe we can take a look at later. I know TensorFlow and Cathie are pretty big softwares that are used for visualization learning. And there's also Tableau. Tableau is owned by Salesforce right now. And I'm not sure how much Salesforce, we know it's more of a CRM company. I'm not sure how much I would want to enter Salesforce just because it has Tableau. And now if we take a look at components, in the component size, we have like GPUs. So there's this article right here, a full hardware guide to deep learning. So for deep learning, it's pretty much just building a supercomputer. The main component for this computer is actually the GPU opposed to the CPU. So any products you need for a computer, you would need for a deep learning computer, you would need your GPU. So that's great. We have, like I mentioned, AMD and AMD and NVIDIA. We have RAM. So for RAM, we have Micron Technology. We have Hynix, I believe it's called, and we have Samsung. And we also need CPUs, right? CPUs are not needed. They're just not a priority. Then you need hard drive, SSDs. Again, back in the memory lane. You need power supplies, cooling for your GPUs, for your CPUs, motherboards, and you also need cases. I do believe the two major players are going to be the GPUs and the RAM. Here we can see that deep learning is going to create a boom in artificial intelligence chips, pretty much just what we've been talking. So some specialized processors such as GPUs are needed for artificial intelligence or deep learning. There's also another type of chip. This is TPU. These are tensors processing chip. I know I took a look. Yep, tensors processing chips. We can see them right here. This is something that only Google has made right now, and they're not sharing much of the information to the public. I don't think they have sold any of these chips to anyone else. They're just using it for themselves in their clouding software. And tensor units is form of an artificial intelligence accelerator circuit board. And like I said, it's developed by Google and is specifically for neural network machine learnings. So ARK Investment actually believes that TPUs are going to be great for the upcoming years. And again, this is something that only Google owns. GPUs, I want to say my favorite stock right now is definitely NVIDIA. And just reading this makes me want to go out there and buy more NVIDIA from this presentation. ARK estimates that the data center spending on artificial intelligence processors will scale more than fourfold during the next 5 years. So right now it's about $5 billion market. today. By 2025, they believe it's going to be a $22 billion type of revenue coming from these chips. This is a 33% growth annually for the next 3 to 5 years. This is super bullish for me for AMD, super bullish for me for Nvidia, and everybody else that works on this data center servers products. AI is also expanding from vision to language. So 2020 was a breakthrough year for conversational AI. For the first time, AI systems could understand and generate languages with human-like accuracy. Some of the big players here are Google, Facebook, Amazon, and OpenAI. I want to say another big player here is Sorens, and I'm going to show you guys a video of them in a bit. But obviously we know Google, Facebook, and Amazon, these are pretty much all. Apple, I'm surprised Apple isn't here, right? Apple with Siri, I would have thought would have made this list. But look, OpenAI is the first AI that understands language. So here they have a presentation of what OpenAI GPT-3 software can do. So here you give them a form of legal paper that's meant for lawyers. And after it reads it, it translates it into plain English for us non-lawyers to understand. GPT-3 can also write emails, design web pages, write code in dozen computer language, retrieve historical facts, translate languages, diagnose diseases, converse as a therapist, and more. And for those that don't know, OpenAI is not traded under the market. It's a private company, but they are thinking about going public, I do believe, this year. So this might make the list for me if they do go public. ARK Investment also says that deep learning could create more economic value than the internet did. This, in my opinion, is insane. The overall internet increased, has about a $13 trillion market economic value. They believe deep learning by 2037 would have a form of $30 trillion in the next 15 to 20 years. And I do believe looking at that far ahead, 15 to 20 years, that's, in my opinion, a little too far to really look into information. Maybe this is just the engineer coming out of me. But 15 to 20 years, in my opinion, is pretty hard to really differentiate of what type of technology we're going to have during that time. Maybe 3 to 5 years, that makes a lot of sense. That's why I'm happy to see this type of growth in the total AI chip market. They only give it for the next 5 years. This, I believe, is a little more reasonable to kind of agree with. This fits up to 2037 is a little more speculative than actual data, in my opinion, right? Obviously, we don't have the data backed up with ARK, but with what I'm seeing right now, it's great to hear that, but not something I'm truly gonna put belief on. So like I mentioned, this was episode 1 of this Big Ideas from ARK Investment. And my whole thought of this is just to do videos for me to understand the big ideas, but also to share them with the community to see, hey, maybe you guys might think of some other deep learning stocks that we can dig deep a little closer and probably get some great returns. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what are some of your favorite deep learning stocks right now? What are your thoughts about the deep learning market? For me, like I said, some of my biggest players right now are going to be Nvidia and AMD. And I'm just, after reading this, I have become a little more bullish on Nvidia. And I didn't think that was even possible. So make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to sign up and wait for episode 2 that should be coming up soon, where we take a look at the next big idea. Take care, guys. Have a good night and see you next time.